What is the best thing you've ever done in your life? Let us know in the comments. We will publish the best stories in our magazine. The small town of San Marcos nestled quietly at the foot of the mountains, a place where the air carried the scent of earth after rain, and the streets were lined with old stone houses. Here, life moved at a gentle pace. Most residents tended to their farms, some ran small shops, and nearly everyone knew their neighbors by name. In the heart of this town stood the local school, a single-story building with peeling paint and cracked windows, yet brimming with the sounds of laughter, chalk on blackboards, and the warm voice of a teacher named Samuel Ortiz. Samuel had been a fixture in this classroom for over 15 years. His salary was modest, his teaching space small, but his passion for education burned brightly. He held a deep-rooted belief that the ability to read and write was the most powerful gift one could bestow upon another. Each morning, as Samuel welcomed his students, he couldn't help but notice the children lingering outside the school gates. Young ones in tattered clothes, barefoot or wearing shoes so worn they barely held together. They stood silently, watching as other kids filed into class. When Samuel inquired about these observers, his students' response was always the same. They don't go to school. Their families can't afford it. One warm afternoon, after dismissing his class, Samuel stepped outside to find a boy sitting alone under a mango tree. The child's knees were pulled up to his chest, his eyes following the departing students. Samuel settled beside him. "Why aren't you in class?" he asked gently. The boy hesitated before answering in a small voice. "My parents are gone. I work at the market now. School costs money. I can't." That night, sleep eluded Samuel. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind filled with thoughts of the boy under the tree. He thought of all the children like him, children who might never hold a book, never write their names, never see the world beyond the borders of their town. The idea gnawed at him relentlessly. He had always taught whoever walked through his door. But what about those who never got the chance to cross that threshold? Days turned into weeks, and still, the thought wouldn't leave him. One evening, Samuel sat at his small wooden table, his gaze sweeping across his modest home. The worn sofa, the framed photographs, the cabinet full of dishes, the old radio his father had left him. These items had been part of his life for years. But they were just things. The children outside his school? They were lives waiting to be shaped. And that's when the realization struck him. Everything he owned could be replaced, but a lost childhood could never be given back. The decision seemed reckless, even to Samuel at first. But once it settled in his heart, it felt inevitable. He began by selling his car, a dusty old sedan that had been more loyal than stylish. Next went his furniture, the radio, the antique watch his grandfather had given him. Friends were stunned. "Samuel, have you lost your mind? You'll have nothing left." He only smiled and replied, "If I can give those kids a future, I'll have everything I need." With the money from his sales, Samuel searched for a building he could transform into a school. On the outskirts of town, he found it, an abandoned structure, its roof sagging, the walls cracked, and weeds climbing through broken windows. To everyone else, it was an eyesore. To Samuel, it was a dream waiting to be built. He hired a handful of local workers and joined them every day after his regular teaching hours, hammer in hand, patching the roof, painting walls, repairing old wooden desks. His hands blistered, his back ached, but each nail driven into the wood felt like a promise kept. Months later, the building was ready. It wasn't fancy, just 3 classrooms, a small office, and a dirt courtyard, but it was bright, clean, and most importantly, free. Samuel named it Escuela Esperanza, School of Hope. On the first day, 20 children arrived. Some had never been inside a classroom before. They wore mismatched clothes, carried pencils like treasures, and stared at the chalkboard as if it were a window to another world. Samuel welcomed them each with a smile and said, "Here, you belong." Word spread quickly. Within weeks, more children arrived from nearby villages. 20 became 50, then 100. There weren't enough desks, so Samuel taught some of them sitting on the floor. They learned to read, write, count, and dream. But running the school wasn't easy. Supplies ran out often. Samuel sometimes skipped his own meals so he could buy notebooks and pencils. The roof needed repairs every rainy season, and some days the only food the children had was the small snack he provided. Still, every morning he was there at the gate, greeting each child as if they were the most important person in the world. One afternoon, as Samuel was sweeping the courtyard, a man in a suit walked in. He introduced himself as Miguel Torres, a businessman visiting from the city. "I grew up here," Miguel said, "and I heard about your school. I was one of those children who couldn't afford to study. Someone gave me a chance once, and it changed my life. Now I want to do the same." Miguel offered to donate not just supplies, but uniforms, books, and even a small bus to bring children from distant villages. He also connected Samuel with other donors. Within months, the school had a library, new desks, and a computer lab. Years passed. Samuel's hair turned silver, but his energy never faded. He taught generation after generation of children, watching them grow into teachers, nurses, engineers, and leaders. Many came back to visit, bringing gifts, sharing stories, and thanking him for believing in them when no one else did. The boy under the mango tree, the one who had started it all, was now a young man. He returned one day wearing a graduation cap and holding a diploma. He walked up to Samuel, eyes shining. "You didn't just build a school," he said softly. "You built a family. You built my life." Samuel's throat tightened. In that moment, every sacrifice, every blister, every sleepless night was worth it. He had given away everything he owned, and in return, he had been given more than he ever dreamed. This is more than a story about education. It is a testament to the power of selflessness, proof that when you choose to give without reservation, you create ripples that can change the world. Samuel's journey from a small-town teacher to the founder of Escuela Esperanza is a reminder that one person's dedication can light the path for countless others. As the sun set over San Marcos, casting long shadows across the schoolyard, Samuel stood at the gate, watching his students leave for the day. Each face held a promise, each step a possibility. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also new opportunities to make a difference. In the quiet of the evening, Samuel walked through the empty classrooms, running his hand along the desks, feeling the chalk dust on his fingers. He paused at the window, looking out at the town that had been his home for so long. The mountains in the distance stood as silent witnesses to the transformation that had taken place here. Samuel's story spread beyond San Marcos, inspiring others to look at their communities with new eyes, to see the potential in every child, and to understand that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in the lives we touch. His legacy wasn't just a school building or the students he taught. It was the spark of hope he ignited in a community that had once believed some dreams were out of reach. As night fell, Samuel locked the school doors, but he knew that the real work, the work of changing lives, never truly ended. He walked home under the starlit sky, his heart full, knowing that tomorrow would bring new faces, new challenges, and new opportunities to make a difference. For in the end, Samuel had discovered that the greatest lesson he could teach was not found in any textbook, but in the example of a life lived in service to others.